imagination.
This is 3D or 2D.com's Duh 3D Show.
Put on your 3D glasses now.
If you're wondering what the 3D stand for, they are discussion, debate, and the news. We hope that you enjoy the show. Get it? The show? Hello, this is Adolf, and I have with me Jake.
Howdy, folks.
And welcome to the 3D Show 115, the first one of 2023. It feels like it's been a long time, though. Seriously, though.
Yeah.
So some of the news that we're going to talk about isn't quite new, per se. But we're trying to catch up. And with Christmas and all the holidays and New Year's and everything, it's just been... We try to get other podcasts done. So now that we got some time to talk about the news, let's go for it. So a lot of these news things are kind of little things. So we got a whole bunch of trailers because the quote unquote big game happened recently. And usually we get new trailers when the big game happens, the big football game that's annually. Which trailer of the many trailers that we haven't talked about do you want to talk about first?
Well, I didn't see the big game, so I don't know what trailers aired at the big game. But when I went to see a Quantumania, boy, did I see a lot of 3D trailers.
Okay.
So I guess you can just point. I mean, I've seen trailers, a lot of trailers lately. I just don't know which ones played on the Superb Owl because I didn't watch.
Yes, and because we're not part of the NFL network, we can't say the whole thing correctly or else we'll get sued to oblivion.
We could call it the Hyperbole.
Yeah. Anyway, so, all right. Let's just go through the list of all these trailers we got. This is an older one, but I'm surprised we haven't got a newer one. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's a nice little kind of tease with a whole bunch of different spider people jumping around. Cool.
Yep. I was slightly disappointed I didn't see Spider-Man Noir, but what I did see, I was really hyped about.
Definitely disappointed that it's not in 3D. Multiple times I've seen 3D movies, and I've never seen that trailer in 3D.
Yep.
I'm still hoping that's going to be a 3D movie. Sony is pretty good about animated movie, or most of its movies, and animated movies in particular. And Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was quite nice in 3D. So
yeah. So I mean, I'll still go see it, but I would prefer it in 3D.
All right. We got number 65 movie trailer. Now, last year we were like, "What the hell is this movie? It's about dinosaurs." Now we finally have a trailer, and are you excited or you're not?
I'm there. It just looks like a movie. I'm not particularly excited. I mean, it's dinosaurs. Adam Driver probably wasted again in a movie. It's dinosaurs, so I'll probably eventually see it.
Yeah, I also kind of feel like this is probably not a 3D movie. It looks really dark.
Yeah.
And some of the dinosaurs look weird, and it's surprising and sad when they kind of like reveal a massive trailer and a massive spoiler in the trailer, and the spoiler being, oh, he's from the future and he accidentally goes back in time. I was like, well, okay, it could have just been that surprise. I don't really care how he got to dinosaurs in the trailer.
I think they put that in the trailer so people would understand why it's called 65. And not that it's a sports movie or something. Or a civil rights movie.
Yeah, I still think the title's terrible.
Yeah, it's for a sci-fi movie, yeah. Because when you hear 65, the first two things you think about are, is this something have to do with what happened in the year 1965? Or is this some sort of football or baseball player whose number was 65?
Yeah. So, who knows? All right, we got Shazam, Fury of the Gods, second trailer, and again, I've seen this trailer a couple times in theaters
Yeah,
before 3D movies, and not 3D.
this is not getting a 3D release. And I pretty much think 3D is donezo at Warner Brothers. They're just on a cost cutting mission. I mean, heck, they even are going to be distributing M. Night Shyamalan movies, which doesn't surprise me because he's a self financer. So
Yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, I guess they're trying to lick their wounds and try to get back into some kind of decent shape. And we got a whole bunch of DC news we're going to cover later in the show, but it's disappointing because the first one was in 3D. The second trailer kind of did the opposite of the first trailer, where it kind of like maybe not as interested in it. I'm like kind of like I'm so interested in it, but the hype went down. It just looks so generic.
yeah,
It has like the whole trope of I don't want to be a hero no more, or you don't deserve to be a hero. And it's like, oh, okay, I've seen that before, and um,
yep,
so it seems all right. I'm not. Maybe I was too excited for it before, and now, eh. All right. Another. Here's a movie that I'm a little bit more excited for that I wasn't, but my gut is still telling me I'm not. I don't know. The Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. This got a new trailer recently, and it's a better. It's fun.
oh, these trailers are fun and funny, and I'm like going, if the game was like this, more people would play. I mean, it's this. I mean, it looks hilarious and self-aware, and it kind of reminds me of a Knight's Tale, better,
Mm,
but
yeah.
better.
Yeah, I guess my big fear is that the best parts were shown in the trailer. When you actually see the movie, it's probably not going to be that funny or that engrossing, and that's my kind of fear.
But hope does spring eternal.
All right, in the big game, we did have these trailers pop up. The first one, I think I shared it with you. New trailer for The Flash, which I think looks incredible.
Yeah, and it's I can already hear fandom go, Ezra Miller, all is forgiven, and oh God, well. I just sit there and sighed and go, he's never gonna get help. I mean, he's now too old to be in the 27 club, but I would be surprised if he makes it to 35. Because, I mean, he is not going to get any help. He's just going to be indulged because it looks like he knocked it out of the park. It looks like this movie's going to be a smash. Everybody's going to forget he's got problems. They're going to indulge him, and it's going to be just another celebrity train wreck. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I really do want to be wrong, but I think we've all seen this before.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. I do also want to throw out there that I guess you're meant to say they, because Ezra goes by
Yeah,
they.
I apologize. I meant to say they. Uh,
Um,
because Robert Downey Jr. came out of a spiral and did great. I mean, so I'm hoping Ezra Miller they can do the same thing.
I agree 100%. And Robert Downey Jr. People forget, like, if you're like a young Gen Z, you didn't know about that whole history of Downey Jr. going to jail with drugs and being
Uh,
in bad shape, and like people thinking his career was over, and then
oh, and it's multi-generational. His dad was a train wreck too.
um, I so hope this movie is 3D because I think you could benefit so much from
I,
it.
I don't think it's going to be because I think Warner Brothers has ditched 3D.
Yeah, and in some weird way, the Flash movie being about a reset seems like a perfect timing. So one of those weird things where and multiverses and multiple versions of it's kind of aged like a wine in a way because now multiverses are very popular and parallel universes and multiple people with the same character being in the same movie is totally okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so when this movie was, started being made, that might have been a really out there, trippy idea, but now we're totally used to it. So it's great timing for DC to hit the reset button after this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
which I think we're already kind of thinking that they would be. So, but actually showing clips from other movies and having, um, Michael Shannon come back as Zod. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
that was a surprise.
yeah, and of course Batman. I mean, who doesn't love? Um,
Michael Keaton.
yeah. So I still hope that the TV's Flash will be in there. I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah,
Um,
Dustin deserves his cameo.
I mean, he had a cameo in TV show, the movie Flash. So
Yeah, Miller, they made a cameo in the Flash TV show, so turnabout is fair play.
so yeah, that scene that they had, I imagine that they did not just get one scene. I just can't imagine that. Warner Brothers is like, yeah, if we're gonna get together, let's do a couple scenes. So maybe the movie has changed a lot, and in these scenes that Grant is in maybe got cut or changed. But I'm still hoping Grant is there because he definitely deserves that, and I think it'll be fun to have him. If you're gonna have multiple Ezras, have him there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
they scratch their head why this one Flash is not quite like the others.
yeah. So Flash looks awesome. I'm super hyped for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Transformers got a new trailer. And it looks essentially like the same, just slightly different things.
It looks like just like another Transformers movie, and I guess good news, it's 3D.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because they announced this Paramount announced this in France in like a event they had in France, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a 3D movie, but we don't have that confirmed anywhere in the U.S. So I assume it's still going to be 3D here too, but I don't know why this trailer is not 3D.
Because they release movies in 3D in France, and they release 3D Blu-rays in France.
Well,
That could be simply it. I mean, who besides the 3D Archive is putting out 3D content for the home video market in the U.S.?
yeah. But yeah, Transformers, the new one, it basically looks like, hey, let's remake the first one and just have a Gen Z instead. Yeah, well, whatever. Now this movie,
a Bumblebee 3D disc. Thank you very much.
you like that movie a lot, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I want a copy of it on Blu-ray in 3D.
And I guess you're disappointed that the people that made that movie are not making this one, right? Or it doesn't look like it.
Yep. This trailer looks like a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah. Like maybe his apprentice did it instead of him directly, but it still has that flavor. So
yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch this at all. I haven't decided yet. I may just be like, nah.
If you think you're gonna get me to watch this, you're nuts. I'm putting my foot down now. Nope.
All right, we got the first trailer for Fast X, which might be 3D outside of the US, but I don't think it's gonna be here. I mean, it'll be cool.
Yeah.
The trailer's insane.
Yeah.
A giant ball running around the street, a different street, and yeah, it looks like a fun, ridiculous action.
Right down the wall, the bank of a dam.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you give each of these people a minute of screen time, this movie is going to be like 3 hours long.
Yeah, and we finally got not a full trailer, but like a little tease trailer for Mario, where they're basically like advertising their plumbing. And this is very similar, if not identical, to the Mario Brothers TV show of the past, and it's quite funny. I think this is going to be a great movie. I'm going to be stunned if somehow they don't land this perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, I saw another 3D trailer and it looked great. And I don't know if they've remixed Chris Pratt's voice or I'm just used to it, but it didn't set my nerves off.
Yeah, so
I'm probably But knowing the way Hollywood works, I'm just getting used to it.
Yeah. It might just be the parts of the trailer they wanted to show off didn't have him really doing his thing, and maybe.
Yeah, and they had Luigi, which was nice to finally get to see some Luigi,
Yeah.
not just all Mario.
So, yeah, a lot of interesting, good trailers. What do you want to talk about next?
I'll guess go on more about some of the 3D trailers. Yeah, I saw a 3D trailer for, well, it's a teaser for Little Mermaid.
Oh, yeah. That looks really good, except for the fact it looks dark.
Oh, but the 3D popped. Oh, God, it looked gorgeous. Of all the trailers I saw before Quantumania, that had the absolute best 3D.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's hard to have underwater scenes and after Avatar 2 because it's just like you have to compare them, and it's like, yeah, this is still really set in dark areas. I want to see a bright and vibrant underwater scene.
No, but it still looked good, and that close up of Haley. Oh my God, it looked so good.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we mentioned Avatar. It's officially a $2 billion worldwide movie. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Avatar 2 and Titanic were switching places back and forth on the box office of movies. So I don't know if Avatar 2 finally overtook it or Titanic roared back, but it was interesting to see. It's been a long while since there's been kind of a thing like that, and it's Cameron versus Cameron.
Yeah. Is Titanic re-release still up? I don't remember. I thought it was just like that weekend only or something for Valentine's Day.
Here it's still playing.
Okay.
In 3.
So Avatar: Way of Water officially right now is $2.2 billion worldwide, and I think about $1 billion, if not a little bit more, is 3D. And I feel like most screenings of Avatar now are only in 3D. So the Avatar franchise is definitely here to stay. Period.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of like, oh, is it going to be able to make it? Is it going to be able to get there? And I can't imagine Disney not be happy with this.
Yeah, and we will see if this is a lifeline to 3D or not. I mean, it should be. I mean, money talks. And when half of your box office is 3D, that ought to tell you something.
Yeah, it's interesting that was the case before, but this time maybe they're not thinking the same thing. Maybe they're thinking that it's good for the Avatar franchise, but maybe not their movies, because we haven't seen that many movies jump, that we know of that we thought were going to be 3D but are not. And 65, maybe that'll get in 3D trailer afterwards, or maybe Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or Shazam 2, or Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay. Look, I think Warner Brothers is as long as Zelensky's calling the shots, I figure there's not going to be any more 3D, because he probably just sees it as an expense that he can get away with not spend. He may feel that box office isn't that improved by 3D. He may just see it as an expense that he can get rid of, like a lot of the ad campaigns and stuff. Because you have to admit, Shazam's had a pretty lackluster campaign, and they're not spending any money, not really. Of course, debt,
Yeah. So far, we haven't heard anything like, oh, this movie is going to be 3D, or this studio saying, oh, yeah, we're going to embrace 3D, and now the Avatar 2 is a hit. So we haven't seen that yet, but maybe that's to come, hopefully. Who knows?
Yeah, and I saw the Guardians trailer in 3D.
Yeah, I thought that was okay. Good, but not.
It was the 3D was not as good as it was in 2 in this trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, mileage may vary because, presentation. Regal, not known for their exemplary presentation.
Well, I saw an IMAX 3D, and I felt like the 3D looked better in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 than it did in Quantumania. But that's a whole other different topic.
Yeah, whole other show.
We'll talk
I
about Quantumania in a minute.
got
Another podcast.
say about Quantumania.
Yeah. But you're right about Titanic and Way of Water. Right now, Way of Water is up $1 million difference. $1 million worldwide difference between Titanic and Avatar Way of Water. And like you said, if Avatar and with Titanic are still both at the box office at the same time, that might just be going up and down the next couple weeks until both of them eventually drop off. So
Disney's going to re-release Avatar in 3D again to get it over that. So it'll be the first $3 billion movie.
Now it is interesting that so top 5 worldwide. You want to guess them?
Well, I would say the first one is Avatar.
Okay, not adjusted for inflation because
Yeah, we're going raw numbers, no adjusted for inflation or ticket or amount of tickets sold. We're just going for straight cash. Then the second one would be Endgame. Then I would say the third and fourth one are Titanic and Avatar 2, because they're switching places back and forth almost daily.
And the fifth one?
The fifth one is going to be tough to figure out.
All right. Do you want to take a guess?
Uh-uh.
All right. Here it's a sound effect. I don't know if you can hear that. Do you hear it?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're basically right. Avatar number 1, Avatar Avengers Endgame number 2, Avatar Way of Water number 3, Titanic currently number 4, and but like I said, the difference is 1 million, so that is going to change. And number 5 is Star Wars 7, Force Awakens.
Ah, okay. Not surprised I forgot that. It's not exactly the most unforgettable movie.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird movie because like I liked it so much when I saw it, and it's like, okay, I'm excited for this, but the predecessors kind of just messed it all up.
I just thought it was okay. To me, that whole trilogy, the weirdest thing about it was, like, I wonder why in the hell they cast Adam Driver. I mean, this guy is giant. I mean, the guy is a brute, and they did everything they could to make this guy look like he's Timothy Chalamet. I mean, I couldn't believe it. They're trying to make him look like this little emo boy. And I'm like, why didn't you just cast a little emo actor?
I don't know.
Good. That whole movie just kind of, that whole trilogy just shot itself in the foot with the decisions it made. The only one of those I really liked of the new Star Wars is Rogue One.
Yeah. To round up the top 10, Infinity War is number 6. Spider-Man No Way Home, number 7. Jurassic World, number 8. Lion King, number 9. And Avengers, number 10. The Lion King being the 2019 CG version, not the original.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to note, every single one in the top 10 has a 3D version available.
Yeah. But I ought to tell you, people are looking that 3D is profitable. It's an investment worth investing in.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, some guys take it as a cash grab and don't put the work in.
The more it's one of those things that if the work is so good that it makes it worthwhile, people are going to be like, oh, you really got to see this in 3D, and then people are like, okay, then I will, and they'll pay the extra money. But if it's just
they may go more than once. They may actually purchase the disc to see it at home if they have a 3D setup.
It's a crazy concept, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Jake, you did pretty damn good to get in the top 5 of all time.
Yeah, considering since I tend to wallow in the lower budget movies.
Let me just see for inflation, but inflation is all weird because inflation is really hard right now. But
stuff. I mean, Gone with the Wind. I mean, it sold more tickets than any movie in the history of cinema.
Yeah, okay. So Gone with the Wind is still technically number 1 adjusted for inflation.
Mm-hmm. Or if you count tickets sold.
Yeah. And Avatar 1 is number 2. Titanic number 3. Star Wars New Hope number 4. And Avengers Endgame number 5. So it's still impressive that now you still have, 2 of the top 5 of all time, and adjusted for inflation, and as well, it's still James Cameron and their 3D versions available. So,
yeah.
And Gone with the Wind is such a weird movie to really. People are like, oh yeah, it's because it was popular. Well, yes, it was popular, but how the theaters were in the 1930s is not how the theaters are in the 2020s.
Yeah,
and
what's amazing is, this thing made money hand over fist, with the average ticket price being a dime.
Yeah, and of course, this might have been the biggest movie they released in that decade.
It's been released several times.
Yeah, and it stayed in the box office for, the entire year or two. So it just keep making money, and so it's a different. It's not. I'm not trying to take away anything from Gone with the Wind, and financially, it's an interesting movie to watch now. To put it nicely, it feels really long.
Gone with the Wind is very problematic.
Yeah.
It's not overtly problematic. It's something like Birth of a Nation. But it's not only does it have the racism. There's a bit of sexism.
Yeah.
It's made in 1939. It is a product of its era.
I could definitely respect the art of it, though. The art of it was pretty awesome back then.
I've seen it several times. Living outside of Atlanta, it's kind of almost mandatory that you go to the Fox Theater for your yearly jaunt to see Gone with the Wind. But I didn't see it nearly that often. But it is quite a spectacle to see on a nice big screen, properly shown in a gorgeous Art Deco styled theater. Oh yeah, the Fox. If you ever get a chance to go to the city of Atlanta and go to the Fox Theater, go. The interior is done up like the Arabian Nights. Oh my God, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's probably the most gorgeous theater I've ever been in my entire life.
I don't know if Gone with the Wind would work if they converted that to 3D. I haven't seen it.
I don't know. It's bright. It's colorful. It does pop. The colors do pop.
Anyway, let's get back to the news and not talk about Gone with the Wind.
It's not that great of a movie.
Yeah, it's hard because I guess in that time I can't remember any other movie from the late 1930s or early 1940s.
The perfect Hollywood year. Any movie came out was like, the closest thing to a bad movie I can think of that came out in 1939 is maybe Love Finds Andy Hardy, which isn't that bad, or The Return of Dr. X. But that's the same year that Mr. Smith Comes to Washington, Stagecoach, The Wizard of Oz, which I personally would pick as probably the best movie of 1939.
Now,
that looked great and converted to 3D.
1941 has Citizen Kane, which most people or lots of critics think it's the best movie of all time. I actually think it's great. I really do think it's fantastic.
Oh, I love Orson Welles, and he was on top of his game. That is a great movie. Personally, if I had to pick the greatest movie of all time, I would say Buster Keaton's The General. But that's me.
Yeah, that's a whole other different podcast. I think might be a fun podcast though to put the GOATs, the greatest of all time movies.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going here. Okay, so talking about theaters, AMC has now decided that they're going to try this new seating plan controversy, or this new seating plan, and if you get the middle seat in the theater, that's going to cost more than other seats. This again.
They really want the Paramount decrees to be increased, don't they? They really want they're doing this because Congress is such a disarray, and they don't think they'll get slapped with anything. But this is, the studios and the theaters, when they own the theater chains, used to do this crap, which is why the government stepped in with the Paramount decrees. They're just asking for more government intervention. I can think of a million workarounds for this kind of crap. You just buy a seat anywhere and just move to another seat. Really, that's what I did as a kid at theaters that tried to pull this, and I can remember drive-ins used to try to pull this. They would try to have assigned parking. It went over like a lead balloon.
Yeah, it's such a. I understand the logic behind it, but the thing is, it's just screwing the customers, and it's just
greed. And it's greed, and it's the stupidest thing to do when there's a cheaper alternative to see movies called streaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know me, I'm a hardcore movie geek, and I have cut back my movie going to, I used to average 2-3 movies a week. I'm now lucky to do that in a month.
Yeah.
And it's not just the money. A lot of it's the presentation. And the concessions are overpriced and crappy. The presentation sucks. The seating isn't that good anymore. It was, for a while, it got real luxurious, and now, like, when I went to see Quantumania, man, the seats where I went, they were awful. I had a backache. They were so awful.
And it's one of those things where the theaters are starting to really become popular again after this COVID, and it's like, you're just gonna completely fumble the ball right now.
Concessions are so grossly overpriced, and the quality. Then to add insult to injury, the quality sucks. You would think if a Regal's going to charge you $7 for a drink, that it would be spot on, that the ice would be perfect, that the soda mixture would be perfect. Nah, man. It's like going to get a $1 drink at a fast food restaurant.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Whenever I went to go see Quantumania, they had a skull, or I guess the helmet of Ant-Man. I don't know if you had that, or you know about this.
Nah, they didn't where I was.
So the helmet you could buy for $29.99, which is like, but it's kind of cool. It's not exactly life size, but it's like maybe 60%. I don't think a child could wear it, but it's pretty close. Anyway, you could get your popcorn in there, or get it. And we're like, well, we really shouldn't be spending the money, but all right, fine. It's a nice novelty. I don't know if I'm ever going to see this again. And I got it. And other people had the popcorn in the head. Was like, no, if I'm going to get popcorn at a theater, I'm going to get a bag, because that head is probably half the amount of size of popcorn. And we got a soda because you have to get a drink to wash it down. And that popcorn was terrible. And that soda was mediocre at best. I feel like I was talking to my wife about it. We're like, the soda tasted just like store brand soda, which when I'm drinking actual Coca-Cola, that's a big insult. And the popcorn tasted worse than the Orville Redenbacher that we have at home microwaving it. So it's like, okay, I guess I have this cool helmet thing, but that lights up. You can put stuff in it, but still, it's just like, that was $40. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. Drugs are cheaper than that.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this is such a stupid thing, and it's just like, really. And then no one likes to get.
I think AMC thinks the crypto boys are going to come save their ass again when this goes sideways. Guess what? If you haven't noticed, crypto is crashing.
Well, yeah, it's been crashing for a while, but yeah, it's just one of those things, like, nickel and diming people. There's some people now that are just totally okay with it for some reason. I know, at least for me, it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Just like how it was for like Uber, and it's like, well, if it's a popular time, then, you have surge pricing. And it's like, you know what? If it's a popular time and you want to go out, how about I just drink at home instead, and not have to worry about even getting going out to a bar. It just makes it easier. So it just makes it easier not to go to AMC if you're gonna have this crap. Go
Yeah,
to
I mean,
so yeah, it's I can imagine like if this was a new thing, theaters are brand new, then sure, but you can't go back now. You can't change it now, and yeah,
yeah. This is not a concert. This is not a live event. This is a repeatable event. Trying to nickel it. I mean, if trying to act like Ticketmaster ain't cool.
yeah, Ticketmaster's been bad for like 30
I
years.
I hate those a-holes. One of the reasons I quit going to so many concerts because I don't want to deal with ticket bastards.
Yep, they're definitely a monopoly.
Oh hell yeah! I want.
Yeah, no argument from me there, Jake. I definitely hate Ticketmaster too.
Yeah, I hate the 80s.
All right. So yeah, it's a stupid move from AMC. I don't know what the hell they're thinking, and this is gonna backfire. And yeah,
Well, of course it's gonna backfire, and they're not gonna get bailed out this time.
all right. We got a actual new movie that's gonna be a 3D movie, which I didn't know about until a couple weeks ago. Scream 6 is a 3D movie. Cool.
Yeah, that was a hell of a surprise. Who would think that the 6th movie in a series would be 3D?
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gobsmacked and I'm like, good on you. In fact, I'll actually go see it. Just for the solidarity. And I don't like Scream movies.
And it's one of the rare, I think it's rated R, R-rated 3D movies, and definitely horror 3D movies have been quite rare recently. There is a nice history of horror 3D, but it is quite rare nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have not caught up with the Scream movies. I think I watched the first one like that, and I think the second one I thought was bad, and then the third one I was like, I'm done. And then the franchise kept going, and now it's up to 6. And I think I don't know.
Body count.
Yeah. Now new Jake, he said that he's excited to review it. And he's seen every single one of these movies, so he is actually the best person to potentially review it. So,
and I look forward to reading his review, hearing his thoughts, because I do. I mean, I don't hate these movies. I mean, but I don't think they're as good as, let's say, Saw. But I do think they're better than the ones that I've seen of them. I think they're better than most of the Final Destination. Final Destination are just a series of vignettes with some cool kills in it.
So it's definitely exciting to see a new movie that we did not know about get a 3D release.
Franchise horror because the whole thing of a franchise is one of the things that makes horror so great is the shocks and the surprises, and it's hard to have that when you have to have reoccurring characters for a series.
Yeah, I have no idea if this is of a standalone either. I think they were trying to reboot it with 5, but then they're not rebooting it. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah. Well, they cast Ortega, and she's like the hottest thing right now because of Wednesday on Netflix.
Yeah, I told Jake, new Jake, that it's like, have fun reviewing this. And it's like, what do you mean? And it's like, you're going to have to tell people, not spoil a horror movie and say if it gets a good horror movie. 1, that's hard to do for a horror movie. And then 2, you have to explain if this is something that people that have not seen the other movies like myself could watch, because we want to know if it's self-contained. So it might be hard to review. I was like,
Scream aren't exactly what I would call horror movies.
So yeah, it's exciting to see that, and it's like, okay, cool, a new one. for the most part, all the movies we kind of assume are going to be 3D or either not 3D or not, or they are, but we haven't had any new stuff. So that's
yeah. I would get to see a Scream 6 trailer in 3D, but I didn't get to.
Yeah. Now, I don't have a segue. Avatar 3 got some news. So, they're gonna find another kind of Navi, and this is gonna be a fire/ash Navi, and apparently it's gonna make everything else look in a different light compared to the other movies. So this Navi isn't gonna be as friendly, which we're kind of joking about in the spoiler cast, like how many different versions of Navi are. I guess there's plenty of them. If there's gonna be a fire version, a water version, and a jungle version.
There's form Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like Pokemon and have just different kinds too. Psychic, electric type, psychic type, ghost type, plant type. Yeah. So I cannot have any. I completely trust James Cameron with the filmmaking. So I have absolutely nothing to say negative towards Avatar 3 because he definitely has shown
when he's the director in charge, not when he's producing. When he's the director, he gets the butts and seats.
Yeah, and he's gonna make it a spectacle and at least be fun to watch. So
it'll be enjoyable.
All right. We got a Golden Globe win for Wakanda Forever from Angela Bassett, which is well deserved. She had definitely hit it out of the park in that movie.
Yep, sure did. And she's a serious contender for the Oscars.
But yeah, she hit it. She was amazing in that movie. I said that in my review that she really hit it out of the park and gives it her all. And I hope the Oscars don't snub her, but you never know at the Oscars.
Yeah, I mean, she deserves. I mean, I'm not going to say she should win because there's lots of good performances, but for God's sake, nominate her. She deserves at least that.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering so much good stuff, the Oscars just snub year after year and don't even nominate.
All right. We got some Disney news, which I guess you can really see how much they're really kind of bleeding money. That they announced a lot of big franchises, and I guess all of these were inevitable to a degree, and it's still kind of disappointing, but totally understandable financially. Artistically, I don't know how they're going to do these things, but all right, it's just get out of the way. Toy Story 5, stop it, leave it alone.
Yeah, I'm like, don't care.
Zootopia 2.
I thought they should have ended at 3. I mean, 4 was okay. I'm not enamored with 4 like everybody else.
Yeah, I still love 4, but how many times are they gonna do that well? And if Lightyear is any indication, maybe they're not really sure what to do next. Zootopia 2. Zootopia was a big surprise. I really, really enjoyed that first movie. I have no idea where you take the story from there.
Yeah, everything doesn't need a sequel.
Now, Frozen 3, obviously, you saw that coming a mile away, maybe 5 years ago, because Frozen 2 is a big success, and if not better than the first movie. So, yeah, that's obvious.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully they've been working on it.
Yeah.
At least getting good music and stuff, because the second one, what made it work is the music was better.
So I'm definitely game for Frozen for all of these, but I'm also kind of hesitant. It's like, okay, if you're just gonna put the sequel card when you're bleeding money and laying off thousands of people, it's just kind of like, okay, just more sequels.
No.
Are we getting new cards as well?
Oh, personally, I just wait till January 1st, 2024. Mickey Mouse becomes public domain.
And that's
Where's my Air Pirates movie?
That's how the Pooh horror movie came out last year, right? Or this year? Because Winnie the Pooh went out of public domain?
Yeah, and uncreative people. And heck, I don't even think it got more than a 1-day screening around here. Actually, somebody told me if I feel like going into the middle of the state, I might be able to find some indie theater outside of the Regal monopoly and find a screen if I really got to see. But with gas still, I mean, it may not be $5 a gallon, but do I really want to spend a tank of gas to go see a crappy movie that's going to be streaming in a week or two, probably?
Yeah. So yeah, it's expected that they're going to just go sequel and sequel. And considering that Quantumania has made a decent amount of money, I don't see the MCU going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
MCU is pretty much the reason movie theaters are still around.
yeah. Now, speaking of the MCU, John Krasinski said he hasn't had any discussions about coming back as Mr. Fantastic, which is disappointing, but also understandable. They could just have him be in that one movie in Doctor Strange.
Well, with the way the press is, I would take everything with a grain of salt that anybody says. I mean, Marvel's trying to keep some secrecy and surprise people, and there's just so much. There's a whole industry of people who just spread garbage for clicks and likes, and about every topic. But there just seems to be a subset of toxic fandom that thrives on this crap, just bullshit about the MCU.
Yeah, the whole rumor mill is definitely right. And the theoryville, I guess. Yeah.
I don't think anything serious that anybody says, because they're trying to keep things secret, and with the way things have been, the movies have been going, that's the least of their problem. The same people who scream about all this stuff, are the same guys that are screaming about the quality of the movies. So I don't take it serious either.
Yeah. I don't. If they don't want to have him for return, I'm fine with it. If they want to keep him back, sure, I'm fine. I completely trust them. Marvel with the Fantastic series. I felt like even when they disappointed me, I still like the movies. I don't hate any movie to a degree. I may not watch some movies multiple times, but I don't hate. Yeah.
It'd be tough because it's going to have to compete against The Incredibles, which was the best Fantastic Four movie ever made.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see what happens, Mr. Fantastic. Keep your mind open. Maybe they keep him. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do something else. Maybe he cameos. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, Sony. Oh, Sony. You thought that Morbius going into a movie was scraping the bottom of the barrel? Well, they found an even lower bottom of the barrel, man.
Do tell.
So Donald Glover, love him. Don't get me wrong, he's great. I love Donald Glover, but Sony decided that they're going to have him be a Spider-Man film, or Spider-Man, I guess, I don't know, their Sonyverse, and the whole movie is going to be about the character Hypno Hustler.
Hopefully, they let Donald Glover and his siblings go apeshit wild and do their kind of a spin on a Deadpool-esque romp, because otherwise it's gonna be what?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty knowledgeable about the Spider-Man Rose Gallery, and I like, who the hell is this? I had to dig deep and
scrape the bottom of the barrel. But hey, the Harley Quinn show made Kite Man interesting.
Yeah. So he was first in Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man number 24 in November of 1978, created by Bill Montallo and Frank Springer. So his abilities is hypnosis via specialized guitar.
Yep.
And his boots grant knockout gas projection.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he has retractable knives in his soles of his shoes. So, yeah, this is
It's a
gonna
set. This is the 70s. This is why I quit reading comics. Or just shook my thought. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. F the.
Yeah, I mean, even for comic books, this is weird. This is some crazy ass shit.
Don't forget Dagger.
I mean, okay, look, I'm totally game having him as a Spider-Man. You know, one of the rogues he does real quick. Sure, you can have him as not the main character, of course, the main villain, but a secondary or third villain that he has. Sure, but
I would take this with a grain of salt, because remember Sony also claimed they were doing a whole series of Aunt May movies.
Yeah.
And that was just to fool people so they wouldn't know they were going to kill her off.
So, yeah, this is just so out there. And it's just like, really, Sony?
Yeah. At this point, don't you feel like you're being trolled?
Yeah. Like, this is like Polka Dot Man. Yeah, have him as one of the other characters in the movie.
Oh God, Polka Dot Man was so cool. I see the Polka Dot Man trilogy now.
Yeah, having him be in the team or be part of a movie but not the main star. Sure, have some fun with it. I wouldn't be mad if Warner Brothers decides to have Condiment King as a joke, Batman villain, as a joke. That sure. But I don't want Condiment King to have his own damn movie. He's stupid.
Yeah, well, if they do something, if somebody comes up with a great twist on him, but the thing is, when you come up with a great idea like that, you should introduce him in something else to create a demand for him. Because there's nothing worse than having a great idea and putting it out there, and the vehicle you choose is something nobody's heard of and isn't interested in, and they ignore it. I mean, yeah, because, even though Guardians of the Galaxy was an unknown quantity, the Marvel Cinematic Universe was not. So people took the chance because so much other stuff had been good at the MCU that they figured, I don't know who these characters are, but that trailer looked good, and I'm going to check it out. And they were delighted.
The one thing I keep thinking about, if his powers are from his guitar, is his guitar going to have more powers? Like he's going to have flame, just like in Mad Max Fury Road, whoo.
Yeah, have to have a special amplifier. What power does he have?
The power of the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack.
Yeah, exactly. So the guitar is useless against a modern iPhone.
Well, a bunch of other phones now don't have headphone jacks, not just iPhones, so it's not just them. Yeah. But yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, no plug in. He has no power.
Yeah. Apparently, there's a comic.
What does that do? And how does you and where do you get strings to replace on a super powered guitar? I don't think you can just go to Guitar Shop.
Guitar Center, yeah. A villain Guitar Center.
Yeah.
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah.
Esther.
Yeah. And are they gonna have like the goofy ass, spiral to be in the eyeballs of people to get hypnosis from the sky?
Yeah, probably.
Oh man, you remember that shit?
Yeah.
Sony. Oh, Sony. What are you doing? What are you doing? We still haven't gotten any word about any of their movies besides them being delayed. Like, we don't have any trailers or posters or anything on Craven or Madam Web or whatever the hell else they're going to come up next.
Yeah, I'm starting to think Sony's becoming like Warner Brothers, just announcing stuff to juice their stock.
Yeah.
They have, yeah, because under Chapek they were doing that. Disney was doing that, just announcing stuff left and right, and a lot of it never came to fruition, or it was severely delayed, or changed up, or whatever.
Now, this is an idea that a lot of people have been saying they want, and it would be smart of Sony just to listen to the people and give people what they want. And why not have a Venom versus Spider-Man movie and have that Spider-Man be Greg Garfield?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That could work.
Yeah, a lot of
yeah.
think Garfield deserves another Spider-Man movie.
So, and having that Venom, yeah, I think that could work really well.
Or he seems to be willing to do it. So, I mean, I'd go for it. That seems like an easy payday for everybody.
Yeah. So, strike while the iron's still relatively warm. Not hot anymore, but still, fast track that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They should have already announced it. And it should already be in pre-production. And if it's not, what the hell are they thinking?
All right. Now we're going to leave the biggest news topic for last, which is a whole bunch of DC news. DC Warner Brothers. So where do we even begin? Because of the last month and 2 months, it's been a lot of DC news. So, okay. Gunn officially announced the DC slate, and which I have faith in Gunn. I think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. The thing is, that nobody else at DC does.
Hey, if they trust him to be one of the co-CEOs, I let him do his thing and see if that works. If that doesn't work, then God knows who can fix this.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the way they announced it, everybody kind of is acting like James Gunn's in charge now, and he hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
And you have all these movies that have to be released because they need the money. So you've announced a reboot, yet you have all these movies. So I don't think a lot of them are going to do very well because people are going to go, why see this? It's all going to change anyway. It's not going to further the bigger story. Because you have to admit, when it comes to superhero fare, people seem to be more interested in the shared universe than the individual movie.
Yeah. So, all right, let's just go through all the different parts here. Apparently, The Rock declined to do a cameo in both Shazam 2 and the Flash movie, which is like, really? Come on. Apparently, Dwayne Johnson was like, oh, Shazam is too corny. I don't want to be part of that. No, I don't like Levi as an actor. And I was like, okay, yeah. It's so weird seeing Shazam 2 and then already having seen a Black Adam movie and just having no connection between them. It just seems so weird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why not?
I think Black Adam.
What was that?
I think it hurt Black Adam not being tied into Shazam.
Oh, yeah. And then it's like, why not just get off your high horse and take your paycheck for one day of work?
Yeah. And also, I think Black Adam was hurt because nobody knows who in the hell Black Adam is except people who know who Shazam is.
I mean, they teased that there was another chair in the Wizards, but anyone that knows Shazam and Captain Marvel knows Black Adam it's a main antagonist, so it's like, okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Rock wanted to go up against Superman, and a lot of that was to do with because him and Henry Cavill shared the same management. But
yeah,
his zagged because Cavill's out too.
Yeah, and
Cavill seems out of everything. It seems like he wanted out of The Witcher, and he's out of The Witcher, and now he's out as Superman.
And Johnson was like, "Oh, we already made $400 million worldwide," and that was like, back in December, and it just wasn't true, and it's fake news. And I guess the final amount of money, it's less than 400 million worldwide. It's 392 million, which it's not horrible per se, but it's not that good either, especially since Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is well known, and you think the movie could carry on with him being the star. So yeah, 400 isn't terrible per se. It's just disappointing, and him lying about it and saying, "Oh, we already made this in a month." And it's like, no, you didn't. Stop it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Johnson is just, I don't know. I can imagine that he just kind of burnt his bridges with DC.
Probably him, and I think we'll see him in another Hobbs and Shaw movie or something, or he'll suck it up. And if he wants to keep making movies, he's either going to figure out a way to get himself in the MCU or make peace with whoever he's fighting with in the Fast and Furious group and go make one of those, not just a Hobbs and Shaw movie. But yeah, it was surprising how little that movie made, considering how big of a star The Rock is.
Yeah. And I don't think it was that horrible to so it was fine. All right, what
are fine. I mean, they're not great pieces of art, but they're fine. They're entertaining. They're worth seeing if you're into that sort of thing.
Now, Wonder Woman 3 is officially canceled. That's interesting. So we're never going to get the next Wonder Woman adventure, which is both happy and sad, because, it's sad that they're going to end it with 84 being the last Wonder Woman.
Look, I liked that movie. I didn't hate it. But the reasons I liked it had more to do with Pedro Pascal than it had to do with Gal Gadot. And if you're making a movie about Wonder Woman, that's not a great look. When your male antagonist steals your movie out from underneath you.
Yeah, and it's also weird when everyone points out the obvious, that it's like, did she just sexually assault that guy that she took her mind?
Yeah, but hey, it's fiction. I'll worry about it when Amazons are real and magic amulets are real.
And it's sad though, because we have never had a contemporary Wonder Woman movie. The first Wonder Woman movie was set during World War One, and then the second one is set in 1984. I mean, Justice League doesn't really count. I mean, it does and it doesn't. But like, you haven't seen a contemporary movie with Wonder Woman, and that's sad. That I wanted to see what stuff could go against her.
From the Snyderverse we never got to see, but hey, we're lucky to get anything. The mess and the greed between all the various back dealings and crap and Jeff Johns and all that garbage. We were lucky to get anything at all.
All right. So Gunn is actually writing the next Superman movie, and he's supposed to be very young. It's supposed to be a very hopeful, light movie, which I'm 100% in favor of. So yeah, I'm game for that. You?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious to see who they cast.
Obviously Cavill is out, which is, it's so weird that the whole situation of him coming back and him leaving, and it's just like, just don't stop it.
It's like Ben Affleck did as Batman, so par for the course. Another DC's had the comic book company as well as the cinema have always had problems, and I think a lot of that happened with Marvel's never had like a big three Well, they did in the Golden Age, but Marvel's always listened to their fan base. Whoever's popular, they push. Like when the X-Men were hot, everything was X-Men. When the Avengers were hot, when Deadpool was hot, Wolverine. But DC has always tried to push Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. It doesn't matter what else sells. Those are the three, and everything is around those. Because, I mean, like, I couldn't believe they didn't learn from Aquaman made $1 billion at the box office. So why in the hell aren't doing a Justice League with Jason Momoa leading it with Gal Gadot? I mean, because they proved that people wanted to see these characters. No, they're just pushing the same old crap that they've pushed for the last 75 years.
So here's the rest of the slate that they announced. Creature Commandos, a 7-episode animated series. Sure. I have no idea who they are.
They're just like Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein, Monster, you know.
Okay. Waller, a spinoff of HBO Max's Peacemaker, starring Viola Davis. Hell yeah, I'm game for that.
Yeah.
Viola Davis has been like one of the few people that have transcended and always been great at her role, and only has like a few minutes or seconds in the movie, and she hits it out of the park each time.
Mm-hmm.
And to TV shows as well. She was great in Peacemaker, and so.
Yeah.
And then Superman Legacy. So that okay. Lanterns, which is a TV show. Well, it's weird because there was a Green Lantern TV show, but that got scrapped, and then this is going to be a new movie, but have multiple ones.
Mm-hmm. The fact that they're calling it Lanterns suggests that they're going to have the whole rainbow version, all the rainbow colored lanterns.
Yeah, I kind of feel like there's too many colors there.
Well, 7, no, 9. That'll be, and I have a feeling we're not gonna see them all. At least I hope not at first, or that's gonna be way too confusing.
I mean, it seems they're gonna prominently feature Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, which okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, The Authority. I never heard of that.
The Wildstorm stuff. It's basically kind of a more adult take on Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, but they just give them different names.
Okay. Paradise Lost, which is quote unquote HBO Max TV show that's like Game of Thrones style, set in Themyscira. Ugh, I hate this.
Of course, they're gonna do everything they can to be like Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones made money.
Yeah, I hate that idea so much. It's just so uninspired.
Yeah.
And I guess it's supposed to take place before Wonder Woman 1, which is like, I don't really care when it takes place. It's literally their own island that's off of time. They can do whatever they want with the timeline. The Brave and the Bold, which is the introduction of the DC Batman. So this is going to be different from the Batman sequel with Patterson.
Yeah, well, Brave and the Bold was one of my favorite DC books of all time. It started out as an anthology, and then it became a Batman team-up book, which was awesome as hell. You got to see, every month you get to see Batman have an adventure with somebody you normally didn't interact with.
Mamma mia!
Yeah, the cartoon was supposed to be pretty good. I never watched it, though. The newer one?
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes pirated. It's not streaming anywhere.
But yeah, that's game. Yeah, sure. You're going to have a different kind of Batman? Yeah. Sure.
It could be awesome. Maybe and have like the Batman in the haunted tank.
And then, of course, Patterson gets a sequel, which well deserved. Matt Reeves is still going to direct that, and that's so yeah, that's going to be its own thing, and it's not going to be attached to their new universe. And
I'll have another Batman.
Yeah, there's going to be a new Booster Gold TV show on HBO Max. I'm game for that. It might be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Booster Gold's a great character. Him and Blue Beetle, the blue and the gold.
It's
they really missed when they should have had Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion be Booster and Beetle. They would have been perfect. They may be too old for it now, which is just damn shame, but they would absolutely perfect.
Well, this year is supposed to have the Blue Beetle come out still. So
Yeah.
maybe they'll do it later.
Jamie Reyes, and he's okay, but I've just always liked Ted Kord. He was always my favorite Beetle of all of them.
And it's interesting too that Booster Gold was going to be mentioned in Legends of Tomorrow, and then the final, or what was the final season, the son of Booster Gold was like introduced in the episode, and basically cliffhanger, and it's like, come on, really? And
yeah. Yeah, and then they just canned that show, and I'm like going, why? And of course they sold to CW.
Yeah, that definitely needed it was so frustrating because I liked that show so much, and they had a great season. Like 1 or 2 episodes before that finale could have been the great series finale, and they just squandered it.
Yeah, well, that whole network, they squandered so many opportunities and things.
We got a new Supergirl movie, which the Supergirl that's going to be shown in the Flash movie is going to get her own movie, and I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess she's going to really be a Supergirl, not just a female Kal-El. So that's good.
Yeah. And it seems like it might be very different from the Supergirl TV show as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's supposed to be a horror Swamp Thing, I guess, movie. Sure.
If it's faithful to the source material, that could be awesome.
And I heard great things about that TV show that only had like 1 season.
It's okay. The problem is the source material, well, parts of it are so incredible that they were like shooting themselves in the foot by not going with it. Because the Swamp Thing movie is pretty terrible.
And kind of sticking with DC, our boy Levi got into trouble because he retweeted an anti-Pfizer tweet, and it's weird because the person that sent the tweet out originally is anti-Pfizer, but he's anti-vaccine. But Gunn did say he disagrees with his viewpoint, and I think there's a nuance there where you can be against Pfizer as a company and the profitable way that we do, the sick business in America, where it's just literally profiting off of people, being unhealthy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is quite a gross kind of way to profit. But you can still be. You don't get the vaccines.
Are making a whole bunch out of nothing. Which is surprising to me because there's so much bad in this world right now, and there's so many evil people with a platform, and you're paying attention to something like this that is so minuscule and unimportant. I mean, why? And so many people are just going so insanely absurd, and I'm like going, meh, M-E-H, meh. Don't you? I mean, there's real problems and real bad stuff. This is not anything. This is a nothing burger.
Yeah, and I was, not super a fan of Pfizer and the whole complex before it was cool. The whole, healthcare business. It's such a gross, and yeah. How insurance companies just screw over people so many times and just make a ton of profit. And there's so many people that have insurance and they want to get good health care and they can't. And I've been screwed over by insurance companies in my life. And I know very much a lot of people have. So you can be against big pharma and against the company, but still be, in favor of getting vaccines. I have a Pfizer vaccine in me, and I'm fine. I wouldn't want to work for Pfizer, but it's a different. I think there's a difference there.
Yeah, like I said, nothing burger. There's real issues to pay attention to, and this is one of them.
Yeah. So I guess that's going to be it for 115. I think we caught up with all the news. There might be some more stuff that just popped up recently. We're recording this on February 19th, 2023, approximately 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. So there's probably some more news there that you don't know about. But sorry if we didn't cover everything. But that's going to be it for us. Bye. Oh, unless you're a patron. If you're a patron, stick around for your bonus features.
Ooh.
Yep, that is it for this 3D show, February. We'll try do this, I don't know, every month or so. I don't want to do this every 2 weeks. But yeah, that's it for us for this one. Bye.
Bye, folks.
Before this podcast wraps up, I want to thank my patrons. Thank you, Kano3D, MK Ultra, Kevin Winter, Alex Folk, and Gravity Head Zero for your financial support on Patreon.com. You can find 3D or 2D on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and more. Just look for 3D or 2D. Thank you for either listening or watching this podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye.